Disney World, the world's largest amusement park, home of this beloved public domain character, and connected by what's probably America's largest transit system not serving a built-up metro area or airport. Disney Transport carries millions of people a year across its 4 modes of free transit, and I've flown all the way to Orlando, Florida to literally just ride that. No parks for me because C-A-L-E-B is P-R-O-K-E, so he's only riding free transit. Now, I've never been to Disney World before, but I have been to a lot of US cities and ridden their buses and trains, so I'm on a mission to find out, how does Disney's internal transportation stack up against normal American transit? Well, the only way to find out is to go for a ride. We start at Orlando Airport, where there's someone waiting for us. Hey, if it isn't Josh from the channel Josh Does Travel.
Hello, hello.
You are appropriately dressed.
I'm very appropriately dressed.
Then it's an hour-long bus ride on Lynx, Orlando's bus system, to Disney Springs. And yes, there's Wawa in Orlando. As we approach the edge of Disney World, we spot our first buses for Disney Transport, Disney's transit system. They even have dedicated bus lanes on the approach to Disney Springs, something our lowly Lynx bus doesn't get to use.
Oh boy. Whew, it's hot. It's almost like we're in Florida in June.
Disney Springs is an outdoor shopping, dining, and entertainment complex that's entirely walkable. So I've been told that you need to try Dole Whip when you're at Disney World. And so now we approach our first mode of transportation, the ferry.
Woohoo!
If you believe in ferries, then clap your hands. We head to the lagoon to catch our first Disney Transit, the Sassagoula River Water Taxi. There's 4 different routes on the system. We'll be riding from Disney Springs across Village Lake and up the Sassagoula River to the Port Orleans Resort's French Quarter dock. On our boat, a ramp is deployed to let a man in a scooter on board. These small boats hold anywhere from 32 to 37 people and run on 20-minute headways, weather permitting. You'll notice that the boat's flag is a stylized one for the service, rather than a true American flag. That's because Disney World is very strict about flag code for actual American flags, so they often use substitutes so as not to risk breaking it. Once we cross Village Lake and enter the river, the vibe immediately changes. No longer are we in an upscale shopping district. Instead, we're winding along a lazy southern river. Even the onboard music switches from 2000s pop to old-timey jazz. It feels like we're in this public domain cartoon along with this public domain cartoon character. As you might imagine, this whole river is man-made, a constant level canal system 2.5 miles in length. It also lacks a real river's mosquitoes, as Disney has almost completely eliminated the insects from the resort through an elaborate series of interventions. We pass the Lake Buena Vista Golf Course, one of 4 on Disney World property, as well as the Treehouse Villas, which start at about $1,000 a night and have their own dedicated water taxi dock. My goal in this video is to compare Disney Transport to regular US transit, but it's difficult to find an easy comparison to a stylized water taxi on a man-made river. This system honestly feels more like a theme park ride than real transit, almost like it's in a theme park. It's definitely not the most practical system, and a bus can make the trip in a fraction of the time, but it is so much fun. And hey, if I could commute by free river ferry every day, I would do it. We dock at the Port Orleans Resort's southern dock, which serves the French Quarter, an area built to resemble New Orleans. I'll have to see how realistic it is when I'm hopefully back in the Big Easy next month for the launch of Amtrak's Mardi Gras service. Yes, I got a ticket, and now it is, I believe, sold out by the time you're watching this. So stuff like ferries and monorails are cool, but a lot of real US cities just need to stick to the bare necessities of transit. So we're gonna go take a bus. We pass through the entrance to Port Orleans and make a break for our bus. This takes us all the way to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Along the way, we pass countless other Disney Transport buses, many decorated for different Disney properties. Disney Transport has a fleet of over 400 buses, the 3rd largest bus fleet in Florida. That's larger than those of Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, and Orlando. But the Disney bus system is very different from a city bus network. Most routes are point to point, rather than having a ton of stops, with service from resorts to theme parks or between parks. Frequencies are often about every 20 minutes. Real-time displays in stations show when buses will arrive, but schedules are not posted, and buses don't show up on apps like the Transit app. Our plan is to take a ferry from Hollywood Studios, but it's a tight connection. Oh, there it goes. You missed it. Oh no! There's no telling how far that bus will go. At least, we're next to a station for the Disney Skyliner, a gondola system that opened just 6 years ago. Skyliner contains 3 lines and over 300 gondolas, decorated with beloved Disney characters. We'll be riding it from Hollywood Studios to the Caribbean Beach Resort, then onward to the Art of Animation Resort by Hourglass Lake. Like many gondola systems, these cars don't slow down completely in the station, so we have to step on board while they're still in motion. Once we're seated, the doors close and we're up and away.
A whole new world.
There's no air conditioning on the Skyliner, despite today's heat. Instead, air moving through the car keeps us somewhat cool. Skyliner is a bit akin to some of the urban gondolas you'll see in Mexico City, but despite all kinds of plans and attempts to build one in a US downtown, including in my home city of Philadelphia, nothing has gotten off the ground. Pun intended. And no, the Roosevelt Island tramway doesn't count. That's an aerial tramway, not a gondola system. I would love to see a Skyliner type system built in an American city. These things are always so much fun to ride, but if I'm being realistic, there aren't many places with the density and insane terrain in the United States to merit them as practical transit.
And we hope you enjoyed the most magical flight on Earth.
Excuse me, you're not Singapore Airlines. Soon we're arriving at the Caribbean Beach Resort station, where one can spot out-of-service gondolas to the right of the cableway. In the station, we can see the system cast members use to remove a car from service so a wheelchair user can board or deboard. The car is routed to a secondary unloading platform, where it becomes completely stationary. The Disney Skyliner is the only gondola system in North America to include separate stationary loading and unloading platforms at each station. Special thanks to Avery the Disney Adult for this and other facts in this video. Another cable car takes us south to Hourglass Lake. Here, cars run close to the lake's surface, and a rescue boat can be spotted just in case cars need to be evacuated. We walk through the Art of Animation Resort to catch our next bus. This will take us north to the Magic Kingdom.
How are we lucking out with all these bus transfers? This is the Metro speedrun all over again. If it's the Metro speedrun all over again, I'm going to miss my flight.
It's pretty obvious by this point that Disney buses are radically different from anything I'm used to in a city. There's no stop request cable, no strictly fixed schedule, no linear routes, just point-to-point service with maybe a small handful of stops at most. Despite being the size of San Francisco, Disney is just not laid out like a city. It's a bunch of pedestrian development nodes surrounded by trees and probably alligators. Less than half of the property is developed at all. And then you've got to consider that a lot of the people riding Disney Transport probably don't ride transit in their regular lives, and it still has to be built for them. We arrive at the Magic Kingdom bus terminal, where we get a glimpse of how big Disney's bus fleet truly is. One security checkpoint later, and we're at the base of Disney's most famous transit, the Disney World monorail. Here you can see the rubber-tired inner workings of the trains as they glide along the track. But before we ride the monorail, it's time for one other ride. The Magic Kingdom Ferry across the Seven Seas Lagoon to the Transportation and Ticketing Center. Our boat, one of 3 that run this route, can move up to 600 guests per trip, and from the deck, we can catch the tiniest glimpse of the Cinderella Castle inside the Magic Kingdom. To be honest, of all the transit we rode on this trip, this would probably be the most useful in a US city. I mean, think about it. Where else can you find a giant, frequent, free ferry on a high-traffic route? Oh, right. Staten Island Railway video coming eventually. Of course, now it's time for what you probably clicked on this video to see. Me, a favorite public domain cartoon character. If you join Caleb's Patreon, you can get early videos, access to Caleb's Patreon Discord for transit content creators, and Caleb's weekly after show Extra Whale, where this week he's taking Disney personality quizzes. Haha! Okay, I am never doing that on the internet again. Okay, now for the actual top attraction, the Walt Disney World monorail. 3 monorail lines serve this area of the park. The Clockwise Resorts monorail serves 3 Disney resorts, the Magic Kingdom, and the Transportation and Ticketing Center, while the Counterclockwise Express monorail only serves the Magic Kingdom and the TTC. The Epcot monorail connects the TTC to Epcot, with stations only in those 2 locations. The Northern Loop opened in 1971, along with Disney World itself, and the station definitely feels like it could be at home on other systems of that era, such as BART or the Morgantown PRT. Our train is Monorail Orange, a Mark 6 monorail train, and soon we're off on our exciting ride, until we arrive at the Polynesian Resort and stop for multiple minutes on end to let people get on and off. It's the same story one stop down the line at the Grand Floridian Resort, where the Beach Boys incidentally filmed the music video for Kokomo in 1988. I do appreciate that each station is built in the style of its respective resort. That's pretty cool, but the super long dwell times at each station are pretty jarring. Yes, I get that lots of wheelchairs and strollers are being loaded and offloaded. Yes, I get that this thing gets obscenely high ridership. Crowd control is a thing. And again, a lot of people here aren't used to the rapid flow of a real rapid transit system. That isn't needed. This is a relaxed theme park environment. But this made the whole trip feel less like real transit and more like, well, an amusement park ride. Which it is. The Magic Kingdom station features a Spanish solution platform that efficiently handles the crowds pouring onto and off of our train. After that, we pass Space Mountain and a track heading off to the maintenance facility before pulling into the Contemporary Resort, literally. Trains pass right into the building, where, incidentally, Richard Nixon gave his famous I am not a crook speech in 1973. Also, slammy doors. I love me some slammy doors. After that, we're back around to the TTC. It's here that we catch the Epcot monorail, which opened in 1982 as the most recent track expansion of the system. The Walt Disney World monorail is the longest such system in the US, at 14.7 miles, with an annual ridership of 50 million. The Disney World monorail has greater ridership than all but 7 rapid rail transit systems in the US. It just barely passed BART's 49 million riders in 2024, although I'm sure pre-COVID BART would have pulled ahead. So does that mean we should all be building monorails? Well, most places aren't Disney World. Plus, monorails in the mid-century were like the early 2000s maglevs we talked about last week. They were the hottest new thing, but ultimately they proved more complex and cumbersome than a regular metro or light rail for little more payoff. Disney could get away with one because they're Disney, and because this is a theme park where it makes sense to spend extra money on something supercalifragilisticexpialidocious rather than super practical. And boy, does it work here. Rather than stopping directly at the station for Epcot, the monorail first dramatically circles the park, as audio announcements describe the features down below. It's a dramatic track design that would be horribly impractical on a real transit system, but here in a theme park, it's pretty dang awesome. So, is Disney World's transit better than that of US cities? In a way, yes. It's fully accessible, it's pretty easily usable, and it's built around guest comfort and convenience. And did I mention it's free? Each trip feels like an adventure, and there's lots of effort put into the joy of the journey, from themed branding to fun travel modes to the trading cards that cast members carry, even on buses. YouTubers that I've watched, like Defunctland, really emphasize how much care and detail Disney puts into their experiences, and that really stood out to me even without setting foot in the parks. But fundamentally, Disney is not a real metropolitan city, as much as Walt wanted otherwise. They can set up a point-to-point bus network because they're a theme park. They can build an expensive and flashy rapid transit system because they're a theme park. They can build an entire river just to move guests around on water taxis because they're a theme park. Disney Transit, for all its joy and quirks, just wouldn't work out in the real world. And that's the thing. It was never meant to. Good urban transit is practical. Quite often, you're going to get better results with an improved citywide bus network than by trying to build a monorail. Kessel has a great video about that. But sometimes, us transit enthusiasts find ourselves wishing we could escape into a fantasy world, where all our problems could be solved by stringing up gondolas, riding trains along concrete beams, and crisscrossing even the smallest body of water with a ferry. Even though I never got to go into a park on my Disney trip, I did get to indulge a little in my own fantasy world while I was there, and that was good enough for me. And then I missed my flight.